Hi everybody, Dhaman Mehta here, and thank you for once again joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. I know it's been super long since the last video, and I don't even have a huge backlog of stuff to do. Uh, Main reason was I went on vacation, and after the vacation, I got really sick and was not in the mood to read these fanfics. But yeah, whatever. Let's just dive in. Let's read these stories, see what I think about them, see if they deserve to stay on my favorites list or not. And as always, you'll be able to see these stories in the descriptions down below if you want to give them a look for yourself. So let's start with Persona 3 Last Chance by aDistantYume. And this is a Persona 3 not crossover, sorry. I'm just so used to stories being crossovers on my list that I just immediately said, no, this isn't a Persona 3 crossover. This is a Persona 3 retelling that essentially takes place after two other loops of Persona 3 have already happened. One where you have the traditional male main character originally, he goes through all the way to the end of Persona 3 and gets the canon ending. And then there's a second loop where you have the female protagonist who gets to not basically the halfway mark, and she gets at one of your first steps the alternate bad ending. And then this is a third loop which now has both of them, and they have vague memories of the past loop. They don't have full memories of them. There is some fun to be had by seeing how the baseline personalities of Minato and Minako drive each other crazy. Because I've never actually played Persona 3 Portable, which has the female main character, so I don't know how her personality is portrayed. But Persona 3 I played a lot, and I know Minato as essentially at the very start he's very essentially dead inside. He's very dead, and in this one it seems like they kept that for a sense where it's he's very dead but also very snarky asshole-ish. And Minako is very happy, wants to be happy-go-lucky, protagonist kind of thing, and their personalities just clash and they hate each other stuff. So there's some fun to be had there, but that's really the only interesting bit to look at in this story, because otherwise it's just another Persona 3 story that focuses on drama and story, which doesn't get very far. And when your focus is on drama and story, if things don't get completed and arcs don't finish, it just leaves you unsatisfied. And that's just again another what this ends up being, where there's a bit of fun to be had with the small relationships, clashing of personalities, but it's not enough and it's not the focus, so it just feels you leaving you unsatisfied, and it's gonna fall off my list. All right, number 2 for this video is Harry Potter Reads the Multiverse by Crossoverpairinglover. And this is a pretty big milestone in my fanfiction history. Another one where this is probably the first reaction fic. I can't say for 100% certain, but I'm 99% sure that this is the first reaction fic that I read that was not the characters reading canon. That was the characters reading something else. Because I feel like I remember reading a bunch of stories where it was just, and especially because I remember when I came across this, the starting plot point and how they do it was very common of hey, yeah, we're just gonna get all the characters here, and I magically got the books, so I'm gonna read the books and expose Harry's lies as Umbridge does and whatever. But in this one, instead, it it goes off, and they just start just seeing all other fanfics from other crossover fanfics instead. And also, maybe this may be the first reaction MST3K kind of style fic that's on my list. I don't know about that, and I'm not going to go back and check. But anyway, this style of fic is one I've come to really enjoy. I liked it back then, and I do actually like it now. And I don't, even though I don't I actually don't read much fan fiction on fanfiction.net anymore. Now I've mainly read it on Space Battles and Sufficient Velocity. But when I do, honestly, the ones that I search for really quick when I just want to, I would do try to search, is these kind of reaction fic stories, which I just enjoy a lot. Um, And part of it is because you're essentially getting for a lot of the time you're getting two stories in one, because you get your for many of these things the authors would write out all the content of the original story, so you get to see that as well as the thing. Do I think it's a full replacement for that? No, because the interruptions, that's like, I don't feel that it is a full replacement. It is definitely something that can be replaced, but a lot of the times, the interruptions will throw off your pacing and stuff. So if you want to enjoy the story by itself, and that's the main thing you want to focus on, it is better to read the story by itself. But I really enjoy this here, and that's also the thing where these reaction fics have kind of an added bonus where it's like there's two things you can get invested in. You can get invested in the stories that they decide to show, but the main thing that makes it interesting if the fic is good is if the reactions are interesting or funny, and if the stuff, but it is a mixed bag. Like you said, because if the thing they're reacting to is boring or it drags, that can make it kind of irritating and not even like kind of a hassle. Like, for instance, the multiple sections of this story. So this one, they don't finish any full fics really. They kind of jump around, like parts of here, parts of here, parts here, and there are many chapters of this story that I found to be the things that they were reacting to be kind of boring. And the reactions themselves weren't entertaining enough to make up for that, and so it just wasn't really engaging. But it's really there's still more than enough satisfying bits, especially when they get into the more ridiculous fanfics that they start reacting to. That's where I found it to be very humorous and very enjoyable. And so while this isn't 100%, I love all the reactions and all the fics there. I still enjoyed a lot of this, especially when it gets to the more humorous stories, and it's going to stay on my list. Number 3 is Wizard Runemaster by Plums. And this is a Harry Potter story where after the war, everybody betrayed him, and so he kills everybody and then plans to hop to a portal to escape, and ends up in Azeroth in the World of Warcraft, where he saves a night elf, kills a dreadlord, and goes and builds a harem, an adventuring party harem. So there are some sex scenes. FYI, there are some sex scenes in the story. Honestly, I just skipped over them. I didn't even read them, so I can't say anything about their quality. What I can say though is that I did enjoy this story. It's pretty much a standard adventuring story, and there's a lot of Harry goes to point A, gets a quest, solves the quest, and then that quest leads to another quest. It's literally kind of like playing WoW, where quest leads to quest leads to quest. And he goes on quest and quest, and then as he does each quest, he expands his adventuring harem and cast of ladies while upending a whole bunch of WoW lore. It's not perfect, because like I said, it's mainly just an adventure story. So if you want more it's more about just stuff happening and adventure and plot, rather than super humor or super deep relationship drama. There is relationship drama there, obviously, because the harem shit and stuff like that. And the latter half of this story is especially more enjoyable once Harry seems gets his footing there more and starts being more flippant with a bunch of the big players of the WoW. And this is a complete story. It has an arc, it finishes, and it's complete. There is a sequel, which that didn't get many chapters, and is not on my list, so I haven't actually read it. And I would honestly recommend, since it doesn't get very far, to not read it, because I don't see a point to it. I see this as essentially this telling of an expansion, and it finishes a story. I enjoy this pretty damn well. And if you like WoW, I think you will too. It's going to stay on my list. Now for something a little shorter than the last one, Hiding in Plain Sight by Clell65619. Sorry. This is an author who who's made a lot of like comedic fics that I've liked. I'm pretty sure I have a bunch of them. I've had a couple of them on my list already. This is another short one shot that is just about like the gullibility of the wizarding world, and I just really enjoyed this little stupid little take and stupid little humor of an alternate version of I believe it was the fifth or sixth year. I actually can't remember right now off the top of my head. No, 6th year. It says right here 6th year. So yeah, it's alternate take of 6th year, which is just really short and entertaining. I enjoyed it a lot. It's gonna stay on my list. Next is Effect of the Verse Part 1 by Virgil 1989, The Crossover King. And this is a Firefly crossover with Mass Effect, where literally the Serenity is like they're just going around in space, and they fly through a wormhole that puts them basically at the start of Mass Effect canon, like at the start of Mass Effect 1. There's nothing bad about this. I would honestly say it's pretty decent, pretty good. I just didn't find myself clicking with this story on this reread. I know for a fact that I probably added this at a point where I was reminded that Firefly existed. I really doubt that I added this when it came out. This was probably something that I found later and went back to because I enjoyed Firefly and was like reminded of it via some other crossover, and I was like, let me look for some Firefly crossovers, and I did this. I enjoyed this the banter, especially because I feel like the author captured the Firefly crew rather well, like their personalities and stuff. But I just couldn't really get engaged with the stuff, and it made it tedious. This is one of the fics that was just like I was really slogging through for this reread, just because I was not getting invested. So the story's not finished, and it has some interesting plots, especially with like evil alliance doppelgangers, because like unlike most fics where they end up in a new universe, this wormhole and tunnel is like just open, and so other people come in as well later, like not even instantly but like after a short period, and you get evil alliance doppelgangers from the Firefly universe that look the same as Mass Effect characters, and there are some plots that are interesting there, but it's not finished, and I never really got invested in this. I would say give it a look, but for me it's going to fall off my list. Second to last for this video is A Great Justice on the Horizon by Shadowmaster. And this is a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fic where it's in the genre of yet another Halloween fix, where it's like Halloween power-up goes differently. Shadowmaster is an author that I've found I want to say rather recently, probably like a couple years, like only a couple years ago. But he does a lot of these where he writes Buffy fics, almost always focused on Xander as the main character. A lot of the times it's starting from the Halloween episode where they get a power ups by when everyone dresses up in their costumes. This one is a thing where they dress up as Xander dresses up as Magneto, Buffy is Black Widow, Willow dresses up as Emma Frost, and Cordelia dresses up as Rogue, though none of them know who these people are because they live in a world where the Marvel comics don't exist, but it's actually the broader DC universe, and in fact later we find out it's the Young Justice universe. So it basically just starts post Halloween with them getting the memories. They're basically getting their powers and getting their memories, and that forces Xander to leave. And then after he leaves the place, it basically falls into the routine of Xander goes to a place, finds attractive female, gets into a relationship or gets emotionally invested. Shit happens. He leaves, goes to a new place, and repeat. And that goes 3 or 4 times until he gets to the end, where the Young Justice plot actually kicks off, and they're gonna start making a second team. Like Xander and his crew is making a second team that's separate from the Young Justice team. And I don't have a lot to say about the formula, because like it really just goes again and again and again, and the repetition of plot points can get really irritating. However, I still found it to be pretty intriguing. He's still updating. Like the last update was technically like less than a year ago, and considering this fix started like almost 9 years ago, that's over 9 years ago actually. There's still a chance that this thing can continue, and I really like that this later arc was going outside of that and actually throwing some curveballs and making some. It was more interesting, this last arc. So if this continues, I really think this is pretty good. But even so, I feel like this is probably like one of the many fics he has. This is probably up there in one of the better ones. So I really enjoyed this, and it's going to stay on my list. Alright, and the last story for this video is Time Tracks of the Dead by Draco38. And here we have High School of the Dead Time Travel Edition. This could be considered a fix-it fix, since the main plot of the story is Takashi basically gets the memories. He dies after like some kind of canon bits, and then he dies, and then his memories get sent back to like a year before the zombie apocalypse starts, and then he tells a couple people, and then everybody just starts preparing to survive the end of the world. So you can call it a fix-it fic in a sense. I really did enjoy this story, again, because the character drama and how it gets expanded is pretty good, and the character relationships, they do grow at a more realistic pace, and it's not just like, oh, you two should get together because you two were together in the future. It's like there's a bit of that, but he tries to like actively avoid it, and they grow at a more natural pace, because it's still a little forced, but it's because of unintentional, like he's putting them into situations to do it, but it's not just, oh, we were together before, let's suck face now. Like, no. So that is enjoyable, as well as the things they do to prep and like train. Like that seems viable and achievable. What's also fun is to see, like, especially later on, it's like they throw in just crossover cameos here and there, which are enjoyable to just point out, and thinking that keeps it from being bogged down in just training montage mode. And I think if you like High School of the Dead, you will enjoy this, and it's going to stay on my list. So there we have it. Another 7 stories from, I know that's long overdue, but there we go. Fanfiction status time. I've now read 864 stories, and 407 of them have stayed on my list. So there we have it. As I've always said, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like, comment, or whatever. If you want to read any of these, links will be in the description, so please give them a look, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.